What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today, we're going to be breaking down the NBA trade deadline from a Sixers perspective here. Will they turn out to be buyers or sellers? And if so, who are they going to be targeting, as well as who is going to be on the trading block here? So let's get right into this thing. So before we get into this NBA trade deadline talk, I do want to break down the Sixers' latest loss against the Boston Celtics for just a little bit here. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant against this coaching staff, blowing a 26-point lead with around 3 minutes left in the game. I don't want to amend the players for that because obviously they had a huge part in that. But this coaching staff, I felt like really let the players down, especially in that late run for the third quarter. I mean, Nick Nurse, Bobby Jackson, and Brian Gates. I'm not sure of those two, that being Bobby Jackson or Brian Gates, which one of those two are in charge of the defensive assistant coaching position. But whoever the fuck it is, I do not understand that this fucking fetish that they have for their shit fucking zone that they run. Their zone is so fucking ass. I mean, there's just fucking miscommunications everywhere because these players aren't used to playing with each other yet, because obviously these guys aren't getting a ton of time in general, especially with having guys in and out of the rotation every night. It doesn't fucking help the communication. As well as just the zone, it's so fucking bad. And I understand that Nick Nurse is trying to cause takeaways because the Sixers are going to struggle in the half court right now with Tyrese Maxey off the floor. And even with Reese there, it's just him. It's so ball dependent on him to get points and create offense for himself as well as others that they have to create turnovers and run. But this zone just isn't the fucking answer, especially when you're up by 26. I understand wanting to create offense, but shit, when you're up by 26, if you get stops, you win that fucking game. And that zone doesn't fucking help. And there's the Sixers zone. I don't understand what this coaching staff thinks when they give up consistent, wide open catch and shoot threes. That's not a fucking win. Especially from the corner. Every NBA team is hunting a catch and shoot corner three right now. It's the most productive shot in basketball. In the Sixers zone, give those up at a fucking enormous rate. And I do not understand why this coaching staff, these fucking incompetent people, continue to run this fucking zone. When the scheme just simply does not fucking work, they don't have the personnel to run it efficiently. And there was a stretch there for 5 possessions where the Celtics got 5 straight wide open catch and shoot threes. It was a 15-3 run at the end of the third quarter that got them back into the game. And you could see the writing on the wall. And this coaching staff just fucking sat on their hands the entirety of that fucking stretch. You would think after 2 wide open fucking threes, maybe 3, you would call a timeout, or maybe you fucking shift out of the zone and go back to the man defense that was forcing the Celtics to drive and kick and getting a ton of deflections. But no, they stayed in this fucking zone. And of course, the Celtics shooters started to get hot. They saw a couple go in. And that's when the team got more and more confident, started hitting the wide open shots that they should fucking hit because they're wide fucking open. And the Celtics are a great 3-point shooting team. I do not understand why this fucking coaching staff has such a fetish for that fucking zone that they run. It is so fucking pathetic. They give up wide open look after wide open look, whether it's layups because of miscommunications or wide open catching through threes. And guess what? If you're on the floor in today's NBA game, you're able to hit a wide open catch and shoot three, especially if you're on the Boston Celtics. I do not understand what this coaching staff was thinking. It really was fucking pathetic. And I understand that a lot of people are upset at Nick Nurse because of his rotations as well. Honestly, that doesn't even bug me that much because of who he has to go to right now in his arsenal. I mean, are we going to fucking argue about Jeff Doughton over guys like Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry right now? Like, those are the only playable guys he has right now because of people are out. But this coaching staff and the game plan thing, that is something you can get on Nick Nurse about. Especially this fucking zone. They run it every game. And I swear to God, it feels like every team goes on a run against the Sixers defense when they go into their fucking zone. And they just have to stop fucking running it. I understand running it once in a while, maybe to confuse an offense. But when they go through these 5-minute stretches of playing this constant zone, I swear to God, they be giving up 20 points in 5 minutes. It's fucking ridiculous how fucking shit their zone is. It's clearly not effective, and I do not understand why this team continues to go back to this fucking shit zone when, frankly, you do not have the defenders out there to run it properly, especially when they are miscommunicating because they are not on the floor at the same time. I'm sorry I had to get that rant off a little bit, but this coaching staff, especially in that game, had been bugging me with this zone. This zone fucking sucks, and I swear to God, I don't want to see this shit ever again. The zone just fucking sucks. Like, fuck, bro. I'd like to apologize for that. But there is some breaking news here. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to be trading forward Caleb Martin to the Dallas Mavericks for guard Quentin Grimes, as well as a 2025 second-round pick of your actual Philadelphia 76ers. I believe this pick was actually traded in the Josh Richardson and Seth Curry trade a couple years back, unless the Mavericks acquired this pick through other means. But you do get into this draft class. And before I get into the financial complexity of this deal, which I felt like had a major impact on why this deal was done, I will be talking about the player-to-player comparison between Caleb Martin here and Quentin Grimes. And what you're getting back from Dallas here is a very consistent three-point shooter in Quentin Grimes. He's put up 4.5 attempts from three this season, as well as a shooting damn near 40%, averaging around 10 points. And he will give you some much-needed ball handling in this backcourt. He's not the same type of defender as Caleb Martin, with that being a guard, but he's certainly not a slouch on the defensive end at all. You're going to get yourself a better consistent shooter here. And frankly, this is going to allow you to open up more avenues in dealing off some potential veterans, guys like Eric Gordon. Since you bring a shooter back, you can dish off your most hot shooter and potentially get some assets back for Eric Gordon here. But what you're giving up with getting rid of Caleb Martin here, of course, is wing versatility as well as wing defense. You do get yourself a better consistent shooter, but you do lose a little bit of size and athleticism here on the wing. And Caleb Martin has been known to be a playoff performer, and so that's certainly going to hurt you. But what this does allow is guys like Ricky Council and Justin Edwards to maybe expand their roles a little bit here. Both of them have shown at times this season that they can be very solid rotation players in this regular season. So this is going to allow them to kind of have more of an opening in these roles. And I'm really impressed with Justin Edwards and what he's done thus far this season. So hopefully he's going to be able to grab some more minutes here. I know Nick Nurse has been raving about him, as well as Ricky Council has made an impact in the minutes that he has played. So maybe with some expanded roles, these guys can open up their arsenals and continue to develop at a better rate here. So it could be a little bit of a win-win here from a player-to-player trade. You get yourself a better shooter. You get yourself some more desperately needed guard depth, a better ball handler. And this is going to allow for guys like Ricky Council and Justin Edwards to grab some more minutes here and continue to develop in a larger role. Of course, there is some financial complications with this deal. The Sixers ship out one of the better value contracts across the league, that being Caleb Martin's contract, for the final season of Quentin Grimes' rookie deal, which is around $4.3 million, compared to Caleb Martin's around $9 million contract for this season. That opens up around $5 million for you to additionally work with at this year's trade deadline. But of course, this move has a ton of future financial stability situations here that I will delve into. Of course, with the bringing back of Quentin Grimes here, you actually obtain his bird rights here for his first year of free agency. So the Sixers are going to have the ability to match whatever offers Quentin Grimes has during this offseason. And honestly, I don't see Quentin Grimes getting a huge contract. I see him probably getting somewhere from around $8 million to $12 million. And that's something that the Sixers, with getting rid of this Caleb Martin contract, can certainly afford during this offseason here. But also with unloading Caleb Martin's contract, that allows them to have more financial stability to sign guys like Kelly Oubre as well as Gershon Yabusele in this offseason. Of course, Kelly Oubre has his player option, and I'm assuming he's going to decline that because he's had himself another very good season here in Philly. So he's probably going to be seeking more money elsewhere. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers are able to up their offer and keep Kelly Oubre here. He's obviously made it certain that he loves Philadelphia, and with the Sixers being able to offer him more money, he's most likely going to be returning to the Sixers here as long as they do not ship him off during this trade deadline. And the same kind of applies for Gershon Yabusele. I do think that it's more likely that Gershon Yabusele is actually ended up leaving this offseason because teams are going to be offering a lot of money. Gershon Yabusele has shown a great deal of NBA growth in this season that he has returned in the NBA, and he's going to be seeking a lot more money than what the Sixers gave him this offseason, which of course was a veteran minimum. And the Sixers can only offer Gershon that much or so much money because of them signing him to a veteran minimum contract. But now that they've gotten some more additional cap space to work with during this offseason here, they are going to be able to offer him more money. As well as, of course, shipping off this money here, the Sixers actually get below the first apron here. So that's going to allow them to actually be able to use their full mid-level exception contract for a player in this offseason, which is going to be around 15 to 14 million. So that's certainly a high-quality player that you can potentially target in free agency compared to what you would have been able to if they remained in that first apron here. Of course, there's still a lot of moves to be made, so they might actually end up getting back into the first apron here. But now that they're below the first apron, instead of having to spend around 5 to 8 million with that mid-level exception because of the first apron tax, now you're going to be able to actually spend around 14 to 15 million because you're out of the first apron here. So by making this move, the Sixers certainly set them up for better future financial stability and their ability to open up their offers in this upcoming offseason. Now, of course, there's still more trades to be made here for the Sixers. And honestly, what I'm kind of hoping here is with this move being made, you set up a lot of future success here for your financial stability. And I'm kind of hoping that the Sixers are able to offload Andre Drummond's contract in particular, which is around $5 million. And honestly, I would be making a call to the Lakers right now. They said that they are in desperate help of a big, and that's certainly something that Andre Drummond can certainly apply for them. I'm not necessarily sure what the Lakers have in terms of draft compensation, but hell, if you can get rid of Andre Drummond for a second-round pick, I would take that in an instant at any point in this offseason. I do not care what kind of second-round pick it is. Just unloading that Andre Drummond contract is going to be able to allow you to open up your trade deadline financial stability even more, as well as you're unloading off Andre Drummond and allowing Adem Bona, very much similar to the situation here with Caleb Martin, with Justin Edwards and Ricky Council. You're allowing Adem Bona to get more minutes and continue to develop in a backup center role. And frankly, Andre Drummond has absolutely disappointed this season. He has absolutely fucking sucked for the Sixers. So I would take that in an instant here. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Sixers do try and ship out Eric Gordon for some potential draft compensation, especially with bringing back Quentin Grimes. You don't necessarily need Eric Gordon's shooting as much as you did when you had Caleb Martin compared to Quentin Grimes now. And if they could get some draft compensation, maybe get some more draft picks in this year's draft class in particular, that would be nice. Of course, with Eric Gordon on a veteran minimum, it's not going to be much in terms of cap space that you can really work with in unloading his contract for this trade deadline. So this would just be more so kind of getting future assets from draft compensation if you were to trade Eric Gordon. But the way Eric Gordon has been shooting, is it even worth it at this point? Eric Gordon has absolutely been shooting the lights out. So it's going to be interesting to see really how the Sixers do approach the rest of this trade deadline. Me personally, I would love for the Sixers to do kind of a light sell at this point, maybe get some more draft compensation, ship off some contracts, and potentially get themselves a player specifically at the wing now, because I feel like their wing depth is a little bit depleted here, but a player who can potentially help them on a playoff roster or make a playoff run here on a lower contract. But I would much rather value the future financial success that you have opened here rather than get back into this first apron by acquiring a bigger name and trying to make a playoff run, especially with the injury luck that the Sixers have had this season. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Sixers do here. I'm praying for a light sell kind of situation here. And maybe this team is able to put it together and go on a little bit of a playoff run here. But this trade deadline is bound to get crazy. Of course, with the Luka deal, I don't think it can get much crazier than that. But there's certainly going to be some more moves made across this league. And we're going to see how these Sixers actually handle the rest of this trade deadline coming up.